Hello, welcome to this video. So in today's video, we are looking at Zustand, one of the best um, state management libraries of React, and I'm so much happy to introduce you to Zustand. There is a big reason why I'm bringing it at this level, because you're going to be using it so soon later in building React Native. I decided to use Zustand in React Native, and I had to first make a video so that I explain this Zustand. By the time we reach in React Native, this is very easy to understand. So we actually build two applications with one assignment that you are going to complete in this tutorial. So let me just get started with the demo. So we have to here this link taking to the counter. So we started by first implementing the counter app. Okay, so we started with the counter application, which is always the simplest and the easiest way to test out a state management, whether it is Redux toolkit or it is context API. I always start by implementing the counter project or the counter task, because it is very easy and you understand the concepts at the core. So we started with this, and by the way, this was my first time to try Zustand, so the tutorial was somehow actually slow and even understanding each thing how it is done. So if you just check the counter, you just increase and decrease up to 0 like this. You can also reset. So this is very cool. If you look at the code that implemented this, this is really a short code. Very impressive. If you look at it and you compare it with Redux toolkit, Zustand is really nice. You don't need to use any providers whatsoever. And what is most cool on it is that the Redux Zustand has one middleware that I like using, that I have found very useful. That is the persist middleware. Look at how it works. So if you just do this and I refresh the page, look at this. I have it persisting the data in the local storage with only one line of code. This was so amazing, and you're going to see how this is helpful when it comes to the add cut functionality. So let's just go to the cut project. Now in the cut project, of course, we started by adding to cut, and we implemented, you can see we already have 4 items in cut. Let me reduce some of them. So of course you can remove, as you can see, very nice. So if I come here and try to add this first item, you can see product already exists in cart. If you just do the second one, already exists. The third one, it actually is added. So we first learned how to add items to cart, how to define the state, how to do all these nice things, and we managed to do that. If I just go to cart, we wrote only one function that is managing this removing items and adding modifying quantity like this. This was one function. This was really nice. And of course we also went ahead and applied the persistence. So using the persistence middleware from Zustand, if you refresh the cart, you see the cart items are persisting. This was really nice. So the last one, which I gave as an assignment, was actually implementing the login. So you have an array of users in the background, and then when someone logs in, you just go ahead and use the email to find this user from an array, and then set this person as you can set this user as the logged in user in the local storage, and then you can just be moving around the entire app with this logged in user. So if you just go and navigate to profile, then you should be having this user like this, having all these details. Yeah, so that is the exercise and the challenge. You're supposed to use Zustand to do this, to persist the user, and this is going to be really important when it comes to our React Native project. Yeah, so that is the project you're going to do. We have implemented Zustand, and it was a lot of learning. And if you're just like excited to get started, let's jump in and get started. Hello, welcome to this video. So in today's video, we have something interesting we are going to cover, and that is going to be Zustand. So we're just going to look at three examples where we're just going to look at implementing the counter, and then we just proceed from the counter application. We proceed to looking at the state, managing the add cut functionality into application using Zustand, and we're also going to look at the third one, which is going to be looking at login persistent user, where we have a couple of pages that we're going to look at. So yeah, that's what is coming up next. But before we jump in, I have some updates I want to give you guys about what has been happening to me for the past few days, and then we'll proceed with the video. So I have two updates. The first one is about live update, and the second one is going to be about the course update. So this is the first one, the live update. So on Friday, that is, I think that was the date. On Friday was which date? Let me just check. Friday, that was 18th. Yeah, so Friday, uh, the date of Friday in the morning, my house was attacked by robbers, and they managed to go away with my two laptops, and they the ones I use are at work. And yeah, that was really bad. I was not harmed, and I was there. They took also a smartphone, and yeah, so currently I lost my two laptops, but on the following days I tried to get a laptop I could use for work, as I always record content and also program on client projects. So I had to look for a laptop to use for that case. And with that update, I want to know if the audio is still as good as previous. And this is the first video I've recorded post stealing those two laptops, so I don't know if the audio is clear and also the video is clear. So that I just understand from your perspective if this is okay to move on with. I don't want to downgrade the quality of the videos I've been already creating, but I just believe the quality and audio are still as good as in the previous machine. Yeah, so that is about the life update. I wasn't injured in any way. I'm okay, but of course, with the loss of those two laptops, it was a really big hit, and I'm still trying to recover financially. So the new update about the course update, as you all know, there is an ongoing or current ongoing course, which is the JavaScript bootcamp course that is going on. And for the past 2 or 3 days, I've not been recording due to the incident I've explained previously. Due to that incident, I couldn't manage to actually record for 2 days. I think 2 or 3 days, I couldn't actually record any content, as I was trying to get the laptop and trying to get things set up. And there is an one more upcoming course, and by the way, in this course, which is like Saturday, it is here. You can also just like follow up and see the things we're working on. I think I added the one thing here. I think I just like haven't added I was working on the projects that we worked on, so that you guys can find, if you want follow up with this course. It is ongoing, and we already have two apps we have already built in this course, and we still have really many that are coming up next. Okay, yeah, so that's the update about the ongoing course. We have the upcoming course that is React Native full stack course. So I'm just going to create a React Native full stack course that is going to be packed with 3 apps, and these are going to be really 3 full stack applications. You know the depths I always go when I start like building applications. It's going to be I'm just going to release, I think, about like a crash course for free on YouTube, and then we're going to build the 3 apps using the first one is going to be using Manstack, the second one we use Supabase, and another one we're going to use Firebase. Okay, and then also just going to try to use really modern stack, and we're also going to try to go off the custom, try to look at now focusing on improving the performance wise, and some of the tools that you're going to use on the performance is going to be like Zustand for state management instead of Redux toolkit. We're also going to go for Postgres. We're also going to look at Postgres database. We'll first also we just see with MongoDB, and now this time we're going to be using Postgres. Most people have been asking me, can we use Postgres? So just going to use Postgres for most of these apps. We'll also look at Drizzle. So I've been using the legend Prisma, but I'm just going to first actually go with the discomfort myself, go out of the comfort zone, and actually try to use Drizzle for these upcoming applications instead of just like going using for the Prisma, which I've already covered on my YouTube and even my courses. I always use Prisma, but this time I'm just going to use Drizzle, Postgres, Zustand. We're going to use Firebase, Supabase, and even Node.js. So yeah, that is the update. And with that course and having that in mind, that those concepts I've not covered on my YouTube. For instance, I haven't covered something to do with Firebase. I haven't covered Supabase, Drizzle, Postgres, and Zustand. We used Postgres in the Invoice app. You can, by the way, check it on the playlist. This is the Invoice app. We used Postgres, that was Supabase, and I haven't used Drizzle in any of my projects. Okay, so we'll be looking at those ones, and because I haven't those videos created on my YouTube, I'm just starting first actually creating those videos first, because it is good you actually have a reference while we are using them in the course. We'll be using them at advanced level, so that means at least you should have a video to reference on for purposes of understanding it, the syntax, basic usage, how you can use it in an application. So I'm just going to cover videos about Zustand, which is actually in today's video. We're just going to cover Zustand, and then I'm just going to create another one where we'll actually use Drizzle plus Postgres. I will have other two, one for Supabase, another one for Firebase, and then from there I will actually release or start on the course. We're just going to look at React Native, starting with the basics, where we look at React Native, Expo Router, and all those nice things. Yeah, so with those updates, let's dive in and look at Zustand. So just going to start with looking at Zustand, and why would you want to use Zustand over our legend Redux toolkit, the one I've been using over and over. I have a lot of videos about it. You can check the videos. I will also leave a link in the description about Redux. You can just look at Redux toolkit. It's a really nice, good tool to use for state management. But why are we switching, or why are we going to use Zustand in this case? So the Zustand is a small, fast, and scalable state management solution for React applications. It provides a simple and intuitive API for creating and managing global state. When I actually just looked at Zustand, I was really blown away. I was transformed, thinking that, wow. And I'm just going to look at this in a second. Why would you want to use Zustand? The first one is it has minimal boilerplate code. Literally, you write less code for achieving the same functionality if you're using like Redux. There is no need for context providers, guys. Look, if there was any way how we can escape writing providers, they could be something really nice. There is no need of wrapping your application in any provider for Zustand to work. This is unbelievable. I'm telling you, I was like, wow, this is so nice. And the easy to set up, it is easy to set up. It's supported straight out of the box, small bundle size, and that is like also one of the most important thing. It is so small that this can literally improve the performance of the entire application. So let's compare it with actually with Redux. So in comparison with Redux Toolkit, simplicity. Zustand is really simple to set up and use compared to Redux. And even the boilerplate code you need to write to set up Redux, like for instance with TypeScript, is crazy. And the Zustand makes it really easy to get started. The next one is bundle size. As we have already looked, Zustand has a smaller bundle size compared to Redux, which actually leads to a better performance compared to Redux. The learning curve, if you are starting out and they told you to learn either Zustand or to learn Redux, I would actually recommend that you learn Zustand before you even go for Redux. But now that you know Redux, if you already know Redux and you're coming to Zustand, this is going to be even more simpler to actually comprehend. So it has a very shorter or easy learning curve compared to a Redux toolkit. So that's it, and let's just get into started with this. So to actually work on a project, I prepared a template for you guys to use so that we actually get started with the actual functionalities rather than just designing the UI. So I have this simple e-commerce here. It has some few pages, for instance, like the product listing. We have the cart page. We have the counter page. So these are like different applications. We're just going to first implement Zustand in the counter app. Right now, this is using useState. And then after that, we're going to look at the e-commerce, implementing the cart functionality. And then finally, we're just going to look at this login functionality, whereby we're going to persist the user in the local storage, and then we access that user everywhere in the app. And the proper use case is when you're using React Native, whereby you actually don't have like the next OS for persisting the user and all that, where you have to create your own sessions in React Native, and this is a very good scenario why you need to use Zustand. I included this so that we look at how we would, which approach we could take on this. So at the end of the this video, just going to have done almost 3 apps in one, that is implementing Zustand. Okay, so the first thing to do is go to my I'm just going to leave this link anyways for Master Zustand, and you're just going to access this one and go ahead and clone it. Okay, I will leave this. I'm just going to go ahead and clone it. You can see I created it 1 hour ago, and even Zustand, literally I just read it in today's morning. I haven't said like I've used it in any other app. This is going to be the first hand or the first time to use Zustand, and even trying to practice Zustand with you guys. I haven't done it in any way or like implemented it in any way. Just going to be following their documentation and see how we can pull off those 3 apps. So the first thing you have to do is go ahead and clone this and get it on your machine, and it is using actually pnpm. So you have to go ahead and run pnpm install before you run this. You have to go ahead and run pnpm. So you say pnpm pnpm install. So run this, and after running this, then now you can run pnpm dev. So you can also go ahead and run this after you have run the first command, and now you'll have your app running on localhost 3000 like mine. Okay, so let's just switch to the counter. So let's start with the counter project as our first project. So we have a couple of projects and they want to cover in this video, but just going to start with a counter one, as we have always done even in the Redux Toolkit project. We covered 3 projects, so even this one we are covering a couple of projects. And let's start with the counter one. So currently right now the counter is actually working, as you can see here, and even reset works. So this is a very pretty simple project. Let's have a look at this. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this page, which is counter. As you can see here, counter page is just using use state. You have a count and set count using use state. And if you look down here, we have also the count itself here, and we have 2 buttons. We have this button here and also the increment button plus the reset button. Okay, so if let's look at the decrement, the minus, which decrements the count, takes in this decrement function. So if you look at the decrement function, is just getting the set count, it gets the previous count, and then it subtracts 1. The same thing to the increment, it gets the previous one and it adds 1, and this is pretty easy. So what we want to do is change this counter from using use state to actually use stand. Okay, you're going to forgive me for being somehow slow. I'm just not feeling really right. I don't know if it is the effect of the event, but the energy is also low today specifically. I don't know, like I'm not feeling like really full energy, but I have to make this this video out of the way so that I have time to actually start working on the projects. So I'm just going to go to Zustand. So you can just simply go to here and just say Zustand, just like this. Not Zustand logo, just like search for Zustand, and you will see like there are some things which are going to come here about the Zustand. You can just click on this first one here. It will take you to this page, and you can see actually on this page they have an example here. So I'm just going to go ahead and place on GitHub. I always want to see something from GitHub. They normally give like a detailed example, I believe. So the first thing here you can see it is npm install Zustand. So since we're using pnpm, I'm just going to go ahead and just say pnpm install. So I just come down here and I will say pnpm install Zustand. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for this to install and finish. Okay, then from there you can say this readme is written in JavaScript. If you're a TypeScript user, be sure to check out the TypeScript usage section. So they have a TypeScript usage section down here, TypeScript usage, and you can see best TypeScript usage don't require anything special except writing the create here. So the first thing, I'm just going to go ahead and create a store. So you can just it's not a must you create anything like a store anything, but as we use like in Redux, it is good like you have anywhere you have your you're going to be storing your things. So I'm just going to create here store, and from this store is where you're going to be keeping all our data. So in this store we can have different data, and data, maybe data stores or data points. We can have, for instance, the counter store. So I just say here, for instance, create, and just say counter store dot ts, just like this. And let's go down here. So the first thing you realize, they give us this import create. So this import create is very important. So it's the one we basically use. So you import the create function, and from this create function is what actually does everything. So before we go very further, if you go back to the counter project here, you can see here, if I hover here, this counter is of type number. You can see here initial state is of type number. So you could just come here and you say, for instance, the count. So I could just come and just create a type. I'm just going to close everything here on the screen and just go back to the counter store. And the first thing I just want to create is create the types for the state that you are trying to actually manage. So for instance, we could just say type or interface, and if we just use interface or type, so you can say here count, and you can just say this is of type, so you can just say count number, just like this. So you can just have this state here that says count is going to be a number. So this is what you want to monitor. And then now you can just go ahead and you can see here they created their interface here, and you can just go ahead and add these other things, but right now we're just going to leave it at that. And by the way, we can also say create a count state, state, just as simple as that. So here you just come and create this the use count store. So I can just come in here and I'm just going to come and do this. I'm just going to say down here const. So you can just say use count store is equal to, so now we use the create function. So you can just say create, and then here you have to pass in the state. So I can pass in the count state, just like this. Okay, and then here so this is under the hood, this is what creates, and then inside you pass in a function. So you can see here let me just go back to the top before even using this down here. This is, I think, the most easy one. So in the create, you can pass in this function, the set. So you can just say here you can pass in a function just like this. It is supposed to be like return, just like this. I'm also not so familiar with the with this, but as you can see here, that's how it is. So you can just say return. So this you have access to another function. So inside this create, you have access to the function, and this function will return something. So I'm just going to go ahead and return like this, and inside here the first thing you have to do is you will have to set your initial state. So here initial state, so you can just say, for instance, that count is 0. Okay, so you can just set it like this. That is the basic usage I believe. So you can see here instead it's a function that returns this object which actually takes in all this. So that's the only thing you need to do actually. Now we can just go and we can start using this. Actually, let me just say state, let me just say 3, so that we just see if this one works. So this is the only thing you actually need to do. The other thing you have just to export, I think export default, export different, use count store. This is what you need to do. You create the interface, or you create the types for the state you are trying to manage, and then you initialize or you create the store, and then you can export the store to use it in any file you want. So let's just go ahead and try if we can access this. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by first of all say the count. So instead here I'm just going to say const. So you say if I say const count is equal to, so you say const count is equal to, so you can just say use count store. Okay, and then inside this we can access the state, and then from the state, state dot count. So they said we actually initialize it. So I'm just going to go and comment all these. Right now, let me just remove these and these on click from these buttons for now. Just going to go ahead and remove this so that we can understand how this one works. Okay, remove this. Okay, so right now I don't have any functions as such. Okay, so now I just want to see the count if it has actually worked. So going back to the browser here to the count, let's see. Yeah, so we have 3 working here. Okay, so just go back and we understand this one more time. So the first thing, I define the types for the state, count state, and the state is going to have this, the count, which is a number. And then here we define or initialize a store, which is, I'm just calling it use count store, which uses this create. So this is one function or method from the Zustand, which helps us to create this hook. Okay, use count state, use count store, and then this is how we pass in the types in this here. And then we can just pass in a function which actually you can pass in all these details. So you can pass in an object that contains all the states you want to manage within the count state. Okay, the good thing is that this function actually has ability to access the set method. So they expose this method called set, and this set method, it is one which is have ability to modify state. So for instance, we had 2 more functions in our page here, which is increment. So if you just look at increment is doing, it actually takes in nothing, but it just doesn't return anything. It just adds this count plus 1. So I'm just going to go back here, and you can see I can have also the increment function. Okay, and you say this is just like a function which takes in nothing and also returns void. And then you can just come and pass this here, this increment function, increment, just like this, and you can just like define it and say that it takes in maybe this, and let's just say set. For now, just say console.log. Okay, because I state dot. So this one also has access to the state. This here, I think you can just say state, and here you can just say state dot console.log state. Is it? Here let's first see the syntax here on the documentation. So increase this function which has access. Okay, it is within the state that you have access to this. Okay, it's okay. So this here it uses the set function. So it is within the set function you have access to the state, and you can just like do anything you want on now on this state. So now for instance we can just say return what we want is to return, I think, access the object. Let me see here. Okay, I'm just going to try do this state dot I said like the count. I would just access like the count from here. Okay, I'm just going to say return back. So this set state, let me just first go back here. Okay, set state, can I just go down to typescript here and you see, and it's like a little bit. So we have like the bears here and increase. This is like it takes in like this, but this is a set state, and then you can have this returns the bears, and then you can just like give them any value you want. So later you can just say return count, and you can just say 2, just like this for now. Okay, so if I just do this, I can also go back and call this in the page. So const increment, instead of just like implementing it like this, I'm just going to get it from use store. So you can say use store, use account store, and then I will access the state, and then from the state I can say state dot increment. So this will be the increment. So let's just go ahead, and while we have a plus, I'm just going to say on click, let's say call the increment. Okay, so if you just go back here and see what this is doing, it's simply just setting the state to 2. So just go ahead and click this, and we see if I click the plus, you see this makes it 2. So if we want it to increase, ideally what we need to do here is saying that the count is going to be state. So just go to the state, then we access the count plus 1. Okay, so this is just now like we use the set state. The set is the one which modifies the state, and on this is the bracket of the value it takes, and now it also has ability of accepting the state. If you look at this previously here, we also had this function which set count. It actually also takes in the previous and then previous minus 1. So it is also the same concept. The set function takes in the state from which you can access anything really in the here, and you can see you can access the count. So here it is setting it to this object where you have the count state.count plus 1. So if we just now go back here, we can now increment this or 1 by 1. So you can see it is increasing 1 by 1. Great. So you can also just come here, we create a decrement. So decrement, you're just going to say it is this, it takes in and returns void. So because it is using TypeScript by default, if you define something in the count state, it must also come down here. So I'm just going to say decrement just like this, and this one is also going to do the same thing. It's going to be a function that has access to the state, and the state first it has access to the state, and then it can just return this, and we can just say count. Okay, it's going to be state dot count minus 1, and here I'm just going to give it a default of 0. Going back here, you can just go ahead and refresh. So you can just like increment, and then you can just okay, just apply this, create a decrement. So I have here, I just want to go here and just say const decrement, and I'm just going to use count store, and then here we have access to set. We have access to the state, from which we can just say state state dot decrement. Okay, and then I can just use now this decrement here. So on click, I'm just going to call the decrement method. Okay, I'm just calling this is like on the reset. Sorry, so I'm just going to cut this. Can I just cut this off here? Let's add it on this decrement. Okay, so if I just go here, I'm just going to refresh. So I just want to come and just increment this like this, and then I can decrement just like this. Okay, yeah, so I guess if you want to restrict from 0, we would have to first do like something like checking the state, and then you do this. I like the extent of this. Can I just like return something? Let me just see. If I do this, and then I say for instance put this, I'm trying to see what if I just say return this. Yeah, so you can just like return this. Now the fact that you can return this, you can do some other things within here. Okay, let's say we want to make sure that the count, if the count is greater than 0, to only decrease it if state is greater than 0. So we could just like put an if statement on this. Okay, maybe we could just even just like say it from here. We could just say that if state dot count is greater than 0, okay, if this is true, then do this, else we just call it 0. I think this one would just like do the magic. Let's see, so now increment, and I said decrement up to this, so you can see it doesn't do now beyond that. Great, so yeah, so you could also just do this this logic outside here if you just wanted here, and then you just come and I put it here, or you actually return that object. This is great for now. Yes, I could do now one last more function, which is going to be actually reset. So just going to reset, which is also going to be a function that actually returns void. Okay, so I'm just going to go here and I also add this here, a reset function, and this It's going also to have access to the set function. So I'm just going to go ahead and get access to the set, and just going to simply set. I don't think this needs to have access even to this. We just simply just get that get the count and set it to 0. I think there's no need of accessing the state here. We can just simply set the count right away to 0, whatever number is going to be. So if I just like have like this and I click on reset, of which I haven't actually used this reset function. So in here we can just like finally bring in the reset. So here just going to be use count store. So you say here use and by the way, can I just like get all these functions from the state? So for instance, if you're using dot count, dot increment, dot this, I think we could just have just said like this count, and then this I just get it from here, and then I can just call others like increment, like decrement, and also reset from one line, and I can remove all this. Yeah, and then I can just go ahead and call the reset function. On click, I'm just going to call the reset. Okay, so now just going to decrease. Let me click on reset so you can see whether you have any figure, and you click on reset, it puts back to 0. So let's just like recap. So the first thing is I created here the store. I created here, what do they call, what is the store? I call the store here, and in this store I created in this counter store. So in this counter store, if you look at the implementation, is in not more than 23 lines, which is really fun. If you remember to implement this with Redux Toolkit with TypeScript, there is much boilerplate code compared to this. Okay, there is a lot of code you write compared to this. We have the state we defined on top here. It has our state, and it has all these functions we need to use. And then down here is that you create the store using the create. You pass in the state, and then you have access to this set, and it is this set that actually can modify this state. And everything you just that all these functions you put down here, they will be having a relationship with the state. They will be trying to modify the state in one way or the other. So along those lines, now we implemented the increment, and from here I also just learned the syntax is that you create a function. As you can see here, it is like we said, a void. It doesn't take in something. If it was taking in something like a product or something, we would pass it in here as first, and then inside this function we have another set function, okay, that has access now to the state, and from which we can do a lot of things. As you can see here, we can just use a state, and then we can just use this return. I'm so much familiar with actually this one here. As you can see here, I just like using this kind of architecture, and I think I will adopt this one. It will be easy for me to grasp in terms of using the word return. I guess I am just like I always use this kind of thing because I can do some other logic before here before I return something. Okay, great. So now that we have done this example, what I want is to take this example and then we create this the eShop example. The eShop example is more granular or even more bigger. But before we do that, I just want to get used with one more concept. So there is one more concept called persist. So for instance, as you can see here, when you increase this and then like you refresh the page, this one goes off. There is a concept of keeping data in local storage. That's like one thing that we always use it, that we always use every time you use Redux or you use any state management, you end up wanting to actually keep that data in local storage so that it actually persists when a person reloads the page. This use case is on the cart when you're just implementing the cart. When you're implementing the checkout, the data for the user, you always keep it in local storage so that you can persist it. Now, if you just look, they have one thing they call, there's one thing they call persist. If you just see it here, they have this one thing they call persist, and it comes from the Zustand middleware. So they have a lot of middlewares. Actually, they, to the extent that they have actually a middleware called Redux. They have like, if you want to use the Redux syntax, they got you covered. I'm not going to be going into details of using like a Redux middleware, but I just want to show you this is what is the most important to know about Zustand. For instance, the persist is really cool. So if you just look here, they passed in another function before they used anything. They have also dev tools if you want to see dev tools, okay, in the browser, of which I actually am not like, I don't want really, I just want to see this persist keyword, see how this works. Okay, I don't know if I'm supposed just like to get this or it's going to be using this from the local storage. I don't know how this one works really, but I'm just going to see how we can do this. So basically, you have to import the persist and from the Zustand middleware. So I'm just going to go ahead and just copy this line and then add it in the our store. So on top here, I can just import this persist. This is the only one I want, persist. So this persist is going to really persist the data. Okay, so what I just like from what I just see is that you simply take it before after this, before even the set, so you can see this whole entire thing is set. So here you actually first pass in the persist. Okay, you can say first pass in here the persist, just like this, and then inside it here is where you actually put this set. And then you pass in two things. You pass in the set, and then you also pass in this key in the local storage. So you set the name here. I think it is supposed to be name, and then you give the key here. Is it supposed to be which syntax? Okay, it's an object. Okay, and inside you have name, and then we can just call it counter storage. Let's just say here, I'm just going to call this count storage, and see count storage. Okay, so I think here we are being beaten by the syntax. Let me try to understand here. We have the persist, two arguments but got one. Okay, so we're just supposed to give it a two arguments. So if you just look here, it create base store, and then inside this, I feel like there is like sort of like a function or something. Let me see. So here, if I just like do this, and then I pass in the persist. Okay, so we have this persist up to this point. Okay, so the persist takes in the set function and then this keyword. Let's just like see persist. We take in this. There is one more, I think. Let me just put it down here so that I see it very well. which has all these things. How about this one? Okay. Oh, okay, so this is supposed to be down here like that. Yeah, so it takes in two things from the understanding. Let me just first minimize this so that we understand it properly. It takes in this set function, and it takes in this keyword. Now this is the keyword it will use in the local storage. There are so many options you can pass in here. If you just go down to read about the guide on the persist, I believe. Let me just go up here. This is what they use out of things here. The persist middleware. You can see the persist middleware. You can persist your stores data using any kind of storage. So they have, you can use the session storage or you use local storage, which is actually the default. So if you just see here in the create, they went ahead and they passed in the persist. The persist takes in two things: the set, okay, the set like that, and then it has this. You see, you can take in the name, and it can take also the storage here. It takes in the storage. If you want to modify and use any other storage like session storage, you can just like pass it in like this. But if you look at the full documentation here on this middleware, go down here, you will see like this is the same thing we have. They tell you the options here. Name, this is the only required option. The given name is going to be a key used to store your Zustand state in the storage, so it must be unique. So storage, this is optional. Okay, you can just also just get the state storage, and then you can change it. Default, it uses local storage, but you can actually change it to use any other storage. Okay, there's some other things you can read about, but I'm just going to see what this means. So we have just done this. Does this mean that already our data now is persistent? Let me just redo this. Okay, let me just increase. Everything is increasing, and let me, wow, what? Okay, this is so cool. I just only simply passing just like that the key, and it is persisting the data without doing any other queries. Oh my god, that's really nice. So what you're trying to say right now, I can refresh. That's that weird. First resetting back, and then like it takes some seconds to refresh, but you can see that we have written this, and you refresh and it still persists it as 8. Oh, this is really nice. You simply add the word persist, and the data is going to be saved in local storage and even retrieved from the local storage by itself by just only specifying a keyword here, just like this. This is really, really nice. Okay, this is nice. So what I don't know is if you wanted to use like any other you want just to modify this state, and you put like async storage. So they're saying here enables you to use your own storage. Simply pass the function that returns the storage you want to use. It's recommended to use the create JSON storage helper function to create a storage object that is compliant with the state interface. Okay, so you can just like use anything you want to use, and then you just like do this. Okay. I don't know why in the example they use it. Sorry, I can just like still keep on this example here. If you look in this example here, they used this session storage. why did they use session storage? If I just export this, does it still keep on working? So I'm just going to come here and I add in a 2-second one. So for instance, like this, you have to import this from Zustand middleware. Here, create this from the Zustand middleware, and as simple as that, it is done. So let's go ahead and see if we are keeping this. So here it is, state is 0. So just increase to this, and let me just refresh back to 7. So you the same thing, you can just like pass in this to use the session storage. So I wonder if you just checked in the session storage if this is there. If you just go to inspect and you just go to memory or application, and let's go to session storage and just go here. Yeah, you can see it is actually here, the count storage. Okay, it is there. So here it is just using the session storage, or you can use the local storage. So I think whichever you try to use, and they will use that here. I don't know what the advantages of using session storage, but since we are not writing any extra code, I'm just going to save this. Probably this way first. Set back to 0. Let's increase just like this. Now you can see it actually has already set this here, and just refresh and back to 13. Great, so that is good. We have our data coming from now local storage, and we're going to use this technique in our add to cart concept. So let's just go ahead and now implement the add to cart concept. So the first thing, as usual, now that we have gotten some experience, I'm just going to come here and I say the cart store. So here, cart store dot ts. Okay, let's just first start here by creating the product. So we already have the types. If you want to know how this data is coming along, this one you have on the UI. Let me show you how this is structured. In the app, here in this page here, you can see actually, let me first clear off this. You can see I'm getting the products from await get products. If you just control click this get products, you will see it is using this fake store, or this fake API to get actually 12 products. You can see I'm just limiting them to 12. I get these products and I return them here, and then I just bring these to the page here, and then I map through them, and then I just push send into the product card. The product card just displays the image, the title, and the price, and this add to cart button. So what we want to do is basically we want to have the cart store. So if I just come back here in the store, just created this the cart store. The first thing is to create const. So you can just say use cart store, just like this, is equal to, so you just pass in the create. So you're supposed to create here the type for this. So you can just say interface, okay, cart, you can just create cart state, and the cart state is going to be having the cart items. So we can just call them maybe items, which is just going to be at first like an empty array, which is going to be of type cart items. So let's just go ahead and create. We have already the product, so I'm just going to say interface. So we could just like call this what? Maybe cart item, and we could just say this extends. I'm just going to extend the product, and the product is actually coming from the here. If you just go ahead and you can check on it, this is the status of how the product looks like. Let's check on it in the types here. So if you just say in the types, we just have this. Okay, this is the whole entire product. It has ID, it has title, price, description, category, plus the images. Okay, we could just create another one, maybe the cart product or something. We could create another type inside here if we wanted. Okay, we could just say we could just say, for instance, so just avoid like really having hassle to manipulate in the I think in the product card. I'm just going to extend this one and I simply add quantity. So I'm just going to say quick UI is going to be number. So I'm just like basically adding everything in the product in the cart item, and I just only simply add this. If you wanted, you could also still use the type, but interface gives us this why you can extend this product, and then you add in anything else you want to specify. So if you just come here, I will just say the items in the cart state, they have type of cart item as an array, just like this. So let's just come now here and say create, and you can import this create from Zustand, and you can first pass in the cart state, just like this. And let me just go and since I'm just going to use the persist, I don't know, I just first work without persist. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and just like do have access to this. I'm just going to do something like this. So this is going to be the set here, and then inside we could do something like this, where we have items set this on an empty array, something like this. So this one, from what I understand, is it takes in this function which has the set. That's why you see here this. If I extrapolate this outside, you can just like say this is a self-running set, an arrow function which is a set. I want you just to get this syntax. Even me, I'm trying to get it by all means. So create, and you have the state you defined here, you pass it in here, and then inside here you can see this is also like takes in this is the create, and it takes in the parameters. So this function is a parameter to the create. So if I just cut this and then I paste it inside this here, so this is a parameter, or it takes in a function just like this, and where we can define these items. Let's just go to the cart page. So if we just go to the cart page right now, you can see it has the dummy data has this. So I want to copy all these items, and I just go and paste them. Copy these ones, and let me just go to the cart. So if I just go to the cart store, I can give these as the default items. Now you can see this one is using quantity. So if you wanted, we could just say copy this and they just add this as quantity. Okay, and then we have now we don't have the image. Okay, we don't have the image, and that's why we need, I think, to define a new product or something. Okay, because that one has images. Okay, I'm just going to put this as images, because if you check in the types, down here, you will see that this has actually images, and remember the card is extending this. Okay, so you can just like modify and create a new type if you wanted for the product. I don't know if just like we should do that or not, but I'm just going to simply leave it just like this. So what I'm just going to do in this one, I'm just going to simply change this one into images, and then means like this one becomes an array. So like this. Oh, what's the problem? Is missing the from props category. Okay, we have to define another one. It has a lot of things that we don't need. In the cart item, actually, I'm just not going to extend to this. Let me just say interface cart item, and I'm just going to define the things we want. I'm just going to go ahead and define all these ones, including the image. So instead of the images, I'm just going to turn back this one into image, and let me also remove the array here, just like this. Let me just go back down here and specify all these ones. So this is ID of number, title of string, price of number, and then quantity of we already have quantity, and then images. Actually, just going to put image, which is going to be of type string, just like this. This is the type of the cart item. We want it to have the quantity, ID, title, price, and the image. So everything now should be all right. So we have now used this cart store. Let's go ahead and export this. So export default use cart store. I'm doing all these so that in hassling doing it and all that, I guess you also get to understand very well the syntax rather than just like moving so fast. So you can just say we have here the defined the interface for the cart item, and I'm using this create the item. So this is like one item, one cart item. This is the cart items. Okay, and then we use it in this use cart store. Create, we pass in this, and then it has access to this set function. The first parameter here on top is always the initial state, and then I'm exporting this, export default use cart store. Now I'm just going to go back to the cart items here in the cart, and I'm just going to go ahead and take off this dummy data just like this, and I'm just going to define here within this one, I'm just going to say const. Okay, I'm just going, I can just say items. I'm just going to get them from, so const items we can say is equal to use cart store, and then this is going to have access to the state. So you can just say access to the state, the word state here, and it returns back state, just like this. I have access to the items, and I can just use these items here, as well as I can use these items here. Okay, now if we just go back actually to the cart page, so here I'm just going to go back to the cart page. Okay, let's just use here, and it's saying that using external only works in the client component. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this to be use client. So just come top here and make this use client. So by putting that, let's just go ahead and wait and see. Good. So you can see we have all these computations. Nice. I love this. Okay, so now let's try to actually add one more item inside this. So we have to create the add item function. And where do we add this add item? You just go back to the cart store, and then inside here where we have the cart state, we can just add the increment. Sorry, the add. Maybe say add to cart. And now this, instead of saying it takes void, it actually takes in the product. Now this is where we actually have issues. So it adds in like it has access to the product, which we're just going to give it product, just like this. Remember, we have this product from other types, and returns, I think this is supposed to return a void. I just guess like this, and return void. What is this? Void has any? Oh, I think supposed to be like return void. Okay, then now we have to specify add to cart. So add to cart is a function which actually takes in a product. So here it should just have access to the product. Okay, which we actually talked about here, and then has of course now returns what. So we'd also have access to the set, so we can just also pass in the set. We already have it set here, so I'm just going to say this set, and then in the set here we have to access the card. So we could just say get into here, and then I would just say get to items, just like this, and I could set the items for instance to first spread the existing items which are going to be accessed via state. Okay, so can I access state first before this? So I need to access state, which is this here, and then in return I can return these items, I guess, like this, and set them to state dot, sorry, so that means like this state I'm not accessing it properly. Okay, set, can I first look at the documentation one more time? Okay, so we need to say set here, like add a set, and then you have this. You can also just like set in this. You can also have access to gate. The gate function also has there is the, you can take in the set and the gate. Okay, that one is very interesting, I guess. Let me see. So so it means like here you can have also gate like this, and then you can just say set, and instead you can just like set to, for instance, items, and then here your port dot dot, and you could just call the gate like this, dot items. Yeah, and then we can add in a new product. So we could add in a new product which is going to be actually defined. Okay, so since they are not the same, I'm just going to do this for now. I will paste all these keys. Quantity is going to be 1, and as let's say ID, it is going to be product dot ID. Then title is going to be product dot title, and then price is going to be product dot price, and then image, let me put a comma here, and image is going to be product dot images at 0. So you pick the first one. So you can see this is very simple, more than I thought. So we have the get, so I can pass in the set and the get, and the set is to modify or add new data, and the get is actually to get. I didn't know this. I didn't even check it anywhere in the documentation when I was seeing somewhere in the documentation. I've just like seen it right now. This is nice. I can have the set and the get, and then I use a set, and then also I use this separately. So get, I get back the items. So here I'm spreading them to create a new array of items. So get the existing items. This first line is getting all these initial items and putting them here, and then I'm adding a new item, this one. Okay, so they just go ahead and try to use the add to cart. So we just go to the product card component here, and let's go ahead and see, because this takes in the product, you can see it here. So I'm just going to come here, and first get the cart, add to cart. So inside here you can say const add to cart is equal to use cart store, just like this. You have access to the state, and then from the state dot add to cart, and then now we can call this add to cart on this. So you can say on click, let's go and just call the add to cart, then we pass in the product, just like this. So this one should actually do the magic. We could just also add the something to so that this React hot toast. We can just go ahead and install this. Okay, React hot toast. I'm just going to npm install this, and we can just go ahead and first add this toaster in the layout. So I can just go to the layout here. I'm also trying to get to use this new PC. It's not the same like the other one I had. Really hassling with this one. So here I'm just going to go ahead and pass in this toaster like this. Okay, then I'm just going to go now use the toaster in the cart store. Okay, so where do we do that if I want to do something else? Okay, this is where actually I think we do return, because if you just look at this, I think this is just like product and then this returning set. How about if I do this? I do, oh wait, if you just like go ahead and just say this and then return. This is what we have right now. Let me just put back this. This is set function right now. So can I do something else within this function? For instance, if I just call the toaster, toast dot how do I, this specifically says return. Let me just try to add an object here, add this, the return. So if I just say return this, we still have a problem. Where do I specify? How do I specify the toaster? Can I just like add here is like a comma or something? So you can just even do like a console.log something here. Okay, so if you just look at this, it's because of this return statement. So it has to be within this function, right? If you look at add to cart, it is returning void actually. That means that we could like call this, should just like be okay if I just went here, I added this. Okay. If right now I try to do like the console.log, like outside here, like the problem is having even this weird comma. How about just like do console.log something? Okay, so this seems to be okay. Let me just toast. Okay, dot success, and they just say like product added, and we could just like product added successfully. Okay, so you could just like do this, toast success product added successfully, and okay, so this has now a problem. Product card. Okay, so let's go to the product card and add use client. Okay, so now can we just try it out and see? So, oh, product added. The let me simply add this and this. Okay, you know, if these are just like adding, but let's go to the cart. Okay, in the cart, next image. Okay, let me just go to the cart. Let me just go to the cart page. Instead of using the next image, I'm just going to use img for purposes of simplifying this. I don't want to go and set this image and so on and so forth. Okay, let me go back to the eShop, go back to the capes. I'm just going to add these 3 capes like this. Let's go to here, and we have them, guys. This is really nice. Okay, I'm just going to show so the cart items here on your cart. Let me just go back to the cart page. Let me just go here, and we add the cart items. So right now we're just going to see items, not necessarily items. Right now I'm just going to say dot length, but this is not going to be the actual items. Right now there are 6, which is actually true because each has 1. Okay, so that means if we try to add another item that already exists, if I go back to the eShop, like for instance this classic, let's go to the ones which are existing, like this one, add it a couple of times, like 3 times, and go back here. You can see that this cape is actually there 3 times. So you don't want to do this. Okay, you don't want to add one item a couple of times. Either you increase the quantity every time they increase, or you tell them that this item is already in the cart. So since they are going to end up going to the cart, I always like to tell them that this item is already in the cart. So you could just check this item here. We could modify a little bit our function. What is it? I'm just going to go to cart store. So we have this product. We could first check if this item is already there, and then we check and we see. So we could first go ahead and find these items. Okay, const existing item, existing product is equal to, so we could access the state. So where do we access the state? I think this existing item has to be done inside the set state, because this only in the set state that you have access to the state. Now this has to change a little bit the syntax, because we need to access the state as a parameter to the set. Okay, let me just do that. First, you have to extrapolate everything here like so. Sorry, let me just go here, and I'm just going to cut everything. Can I just only cut up to here? Okay, so in here I'm just going to have state, so you can access state within the set. Then within here we can also do the return thing. Okay, so we can just like return this, so you can see everything right now still okay. So here we can say const existing product, and then from this existing product just going to say we first access the items that are already in the cart, which are on state dot items. Now dot, so we could just say find. So we find, first of all, we have access to the product that is in this item, or we just say item actually, and then we just need to return. So just go ahead and return item dot id is equal to product dot id. So if this this one will return back a product. Okay. If you use find, this will return back an existing product. So you could just say if. So with this, we can make choices on what to do here. Okay, so I can just say if existing product, for instance, if existing product is true, then we could just actually return something else. So here we can just like return an object where we have items, setting this array to, so we could just like go and just say here, in fact we could just like go ahead and just say if existing, I could just say toast dot error. Okay, product already exists in cart, already exists in cart. Okay, I could just like do this, or you could just go ahead and just simply increment the quantity. Okay, I could just go ahead and increment the quantity if I wanted. So here you just go ahead and see if I go back the eShop. So I add this. If I try add it the second time, so you can see now product already exists in the cart. It seems like it actually did all these two. Let's check here. So it actually announced that the product is already in the cart, but it actually added it. So what is the problem? Okay, so we didn't return. So simply add return. So if you don't do this, it will do this and it moves out and also do this. So you're supposed to put return. Let me refresh. So now I will add the first time, I will add the second time. Okay, so right now it brings a problem. Cannot read properties of an undefined add to cart. State dot add to cart. Why is that? Oh, we have a problem. Oh, so I think this here, we have first of all, I guess, to return the state dot items. So I'm just going to say return here items to be state dot items. Just it doesn't just like do anything, just returns those actual items, doesn't add anything else like that. Okay, let's just like do one more time, add, so it enters there. Add the second time, it seems like it also added the thing. Sorry, just go to the card. Oh, it didn't actually add this time. So it added it once, and I don't know why this one is also if existing item, do this. It is okay, so I'm just going to actually have this as errors. So I'm just going to come here and cut this and has it as errors, return this. Okay, so it either does this, else it does that. So just go ahead and test, go back here, let's add this and add it again. So now you can see product already exists in the cart. So if I just go back here in the cart, I already have this outfit where you can increment or decrement. Okay, that's nice. So let's go ahead and update the header here to reflect. If I add here, it should also increment in the header. So I'm just going to go to this site header. Let's go ahead and get in here and let's go const items. So you can just get here the const items is equal to use cart store. You have to access the state, and then from the state you get the item. So state dot items. Now from here you can just say items dot length. Okay, so you can just like have this. So right now just make this use client. So every time you're using hooks in Next.js, you have to make this use client. Okay, so it has three layers. Add like this. Now it is 4, 5, 6. So if I try to add this, as you can see here, it already exists. Even this already exists. Even this already exists. If I just check here, I have these 5 items here. So let's just first go remove the initial ones instead now. So from the cart store, I will just go and make this to be an empty array. So this one, I'll replace this with an empty array, so that now we don't be having some items already. So you can see here, even here is 0. So you add this 1, 2, 3. Now if you just go here, you have 3 items in here. Okay, and you can see even these totals are well calculated. This is 79 plus this, you have that. Okay, so what I want to do is now to this increment and the decrement. Okay, so let me just go and add remove from cart, remove from cart. So this should take in the ID, which is a number, and which is a number, and let's return void for now. So we have to add this inside here, remove from cart, remove from cart. As we said, this takes in the ID just like this, and then we'll have access to also just like do this. Okay, this is a good way just like of returning a function. So you just have this, and inside we can have set here, but at the end of the day you have to actually have set. Let's first access the state. Okay, so from which we can do a number of things. So you can also do this and we can return something. So first of all, I can just go ahead and say const. Okay, const. So want to get the filtered products is going to be equal to state dot items. So want to filter these items. So filter, you have access to an item, so you want to return back item dot id not equal to what? Not equal to id. So not equal to id, this id here you entered here. So after getting this, now we can just say return, and return an object where we have items. Okay, and in these items, we're just going to return them as the filtered products, just like this. Okay, what I mean is I'm just filtering out this item from the items, and then I return these filtered items out. So if I just go and apply this, so let's go ahead to the cart. Okay, and let's first get this. So I'm just going to go here, we go the items, I'm just going to get remove from cart, and now I just want to go where we have this minus, not minus, where we have this remove. I'm just going to say on click, I'm just going to call the remove from cart, and let's pass in the id, which is going to be item dot id. Go to the eShop, let's add this first line of items, and now we can just remove this, and you can see it is gone. You can remove this, you can remove this, just like that. So the remove from cart is working. Okay, let's just say go back to the cart store here, so you can see we are getting into how to use the syntax. Okay, so just simply keep on repeating writing the syntax. You will get this in the head. That's why you see that I'm not using AI to get these functions. I know I could just like punch them in AI to get this. The problem is that when you're just learning something new at first, avoid using AI to type the code, because you're not going to get the syntax in the head. So I'm trying to right now to type all these functions by myself, so that I can just get the syntax right used in my head. And you can just see as I keep on writing, I get used to this. And you can just see the pattern. Whatever you pass in here in the function is actually what you pass in here. And then I'm just putting this bracket to actually simplify somehow on this whole syntax. So you do this, you can return using the brackets. Inside you can access the set, and it is the only thing you actually access. All other things have to be done inside the set. The good thing is that if you remember, we could also use, instead of just using this, here the state, accessing the state. Actually, I think we had actually simplified this. I don't know how I complicated it back by bringing in the state. We already have the gate. I think we could just even eliminate all these here, and we simply pass in this object. We could just like use the gate instead in this. So if you don't pass in anything, you could just simply return. Can I just like return this? Just a second, just to test. I return this. Oh, so this ceases to be a valid function, as you can see here. Okay, so if I just like remove this, okay, still like this is I think the easy way. You can just like pass in this. Okay, if you wanted, you could just like simply return this here, and you do this whole filter from here if you wanted. Like doing all this, we could just return within this bracket. You can return this, and you use get dot sorry, it is get, and then you say dot get, and then you have access to the items, and then you just say dot filter, and then you have access to an item, and then we can just go ahead and say filter out item dot what, item dot id not equal to id. Just look at this. This is crazy. Like, this is the simplest of all, and this should just work. Let's go back and add like 3 items, and let's go back here and remove this. Just look at that. On it, I would want to also announce the removal of this. So if I just came here to do anything, the problem is if you just do now anything here is not, oh, you can just like do something here. So we can actually toast, it's supposed to be after. Okay, after this, so we say like toast dot success, and we just say here item removed, item removed, just like this. So next time we just remove an item, you just go back here. Now you just remove this item removed. So you can see you're getting to do this. This is really now an easy syntax. Let's see this add state. We just did the same thing here. We could this one anyway involved like creating this whole checking of things. I think we could have even checked from outside, I believe. Okay, we could have checked from outside. Can I just like simplify this? There was no need of just like accessing this state here. So if I just like said you can return this, cut this, okay, and then instead in this bracket, this is the bracket, and you return like so, just like this. Okay, this is accepts. All that we need to have what set here. So you could also just check here existing. So we could say const existing product, okay, is equal to the other find. So you could just say use the get actually. So you could just say get here dot items, and then like you say dot find, and then you could have here the item, and then you say item dot id is equal to product dot id, and then you could just use this to return things here. So let me just cut this array. So you could just say if existing item, existing product, if this is true, then you could just actually return get, I think you could just say get dot items, just like you don't do anything. Okay, let's see. Okay, and then you say else, just add this. This would work, but then like on announcing, like on the toasters, where would we add them? Where we have like this, and I think we could just like just do this here. Do the if statement here. I'm just looking for the toasts. What do we toast? Okay, well, maybe you could just like put down here, say if existing item, then we could just say toast. So here we just say toast dot error. Product already exists. And then here we could just do errors, and then we just say toast dot success, and then we just say product added successfully. Product added successfully. Okay. Let's try one more time and see if there is no any changes in our code. And you can see this is working. If I click on this, product already exists. So that's nice. And if you just check here, we have only 2 items, and this one is still working. Yeah, so I'm trying to just like learn at the same time try to simplify this whole logic. If you check on here, we have simplified the logic, get the item here, and then use it to set, and then we can also just toast this. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and create one more item. One more thing, incrementing here this. So you're just going to say update quantity. There is increment and decrement quantity here. I don't know if we take in whereby you use the decrement, and that I don't know what we're supposed to do, because this is the same literally the same function. Okay, this could be the same function. So I don't know if we just like say update quantity. So let me just first go to the cart store here. I'm just going to add this. We're just going to say update quantity, and for now I don't know what this is going to take. Return void. I don't know what this should take. Either could take the quantity you want to add. Okay. Should I take in like the ID of the quantity or something? I think should just like take in like the amount and the ID. I don't know if I can just take in type instead. I just say type here. I don't know. If I just say type and ID, like I can just say type is going to be a string, or I could just like say type here is going to be specifically like increment or decrement. I can give it this type here, and for this one ID is going to be a number. So if I just give this, like either it is increasing or decreasing, and then here we just do this. Okay, so let's say if I just went down here on update quantity, which takes in the type and the ID. Okay, and she's just going to go ahead and return. Okay, so we could just say that, so what do we want to do is to find the item. Okay, and then increase its quantity. Okay. We could just first get this item, const item, is going to be equal to, so you can just use the get, so get, and then from the get I can just get the items, and then I just say dot find. So you could just first find this item, item dot id equal to the id. So you could just get this item back. Now we could just go ahead and modify the quantity of this item. If I just say const a new, or I could say like updated item is equal to, so we could just go ahead and modify its quantity. I don't know if we could just say like item dot quantity. Okay, and then I could just say is equal to, so are we like, can we allow to reset this if I say equal to 1? Left hand side of the segment may not be an optional property access. Okay, we're just going to use this. I could just like put all the item, but then here just going to modify the quantity. Oh, do we have like the q, we name the quantity or quantity? Am I the one typing this quantity? Okay, I could just go ahead and call this set item set, and just like set to items, and I'm just going to set them to, so you could just like get spread all the get here the items. I just like want to add this item. Okay. How do I modify this item? I mean, like, we could just like modify it from here. I don't know why it didn't actually accept. Item.quantity is equal to 2. It doesn't allow. The left hand side of an assignment may not be an optional property. So why do we have this? Oh, item is possibly undefined because of this here item. So you could just say if no item, okay, and then just go ahead and say return. Okay, then here we could just say item.quantity, and then just say here modify, and we could just use type here. If type is equal to decrement, then would do what? If this is true, we could just say item dot quantity plus 1, I think, minus 1, sorry, and then else we could just say item dot quantity plus 1. Like, I think this is just like really sketchy, and then I'm just going to come here and I add the item. So here, comma, I'm just going to add the item. Really, I don't know if this can do the trick. Let's go to where we have cut, and I'm just going to go ahead. Also, I get the update quantity, and let's go to where we have the minus and the plus. So here I'm just going to say on click. I'm just going to go ahead and call the update quantity. So in here we just take in two things, increment or, so just going to first choose, like, this is a decrement, and let me pass in the ID of the product. So it's just going to be item dot ID. Similarly, I'm just going to call this on click function. I'm just going to call it on this, but here we pass in increment. Okay, great. So let me just go back and add in the items. Let's add this, let's add this, and this. So we have 3 items here. So the moment of truth is here. I'm just going to increase. Okay, it has increased. You can see it is actually increasing this value. If I reduce, it actually reduces, so it works. The same thing here, and also the same thing here, and you can see also the amount is changing. And by the way, you might just like asking yourself here, if you just look at the cut items, right now it is calculating as 16. I don't know why this one. Oh, so every time we increase, it just like here just goes ahead and does this. Let's just refresh and then that's what's going on. Go back here and let's add one item. So if I increment, they become 2, but then as you can see there are 2 items, but then here it actually duplicates. What is that? So right now we have 2 items in the cart, which is actually true. Like the quantity, and so the quantity is two supposed to have only like 2 items, as in this is not needed here. How do I remove that? If you get back in the cart store, so we have this item dot quantity has been increased. Do we need to set items? Is there anything we need to change on this, as in to add in it here? But what if I just do this? Okay, let me just go ahead and refresh. Go back and let's add one item. So this doesn't work right now because of this set item. So how do I modify this but not doubling as it is a new item? Because every time it is actually adding this as a new item. I wonder if I just remove this, what would happen? Okay, let's just go here, add one item, go back here, and let's add here. Yeah, so we just don't need to set any new item, just simply do this. And that means the calculation that we have in the head and in this one must change. If you think about these right now, how many items do we have in cart? But that is like a big thing. Do we calculate the quantity or do we calculate just the items? Because you might have like shirts, and those are like 5 items. You have 5 shirts, okay, in the cart. So here it should just like be showing 5, not 1. So depending on what you want to show there, you can actually modify in the site header. So if you just go back in the site header, instead of calculating it just like this, you can instead just say dot reduce, and then on this you have access to the sum and the item, and then you can just say return, and then you have to return sum plus item dot, as you can see, quantity. Okay, and then of course we have 0, so you have the starting point should be 0 here. So if you just do this now, let's go back, you can see already here they just like it is just telling you it is 5 items. Similarly to this, you can just do the exact same thing. Let me just go back to this. If you also don't familiar with the sum, this reduce syntax, you should just like simply practice it, inside the reduce function, you have access to a sum or the cumulative plus and the item. Then you can just get the sum plus item. This 0 is the starting point of this cumulative. So if I just go back now to the cut also, so just go to the cut, we just do the same thing to these. You have cut, instead of using dot length, I could just say dot reduce. This is also an array method. You have access to the sum and the item, so you could just go ahead and say that it is going to be sum plus item dot quantity, and then you give the starting point or the initial value. So if you go back here, you have the same thing here, 5 items. So if you now reduce, it is reducing globally. Okay, so you want just like if it reaches on 0, it should just remove this item from cut. Okay, or we don't want to exceed on 0, or want this item to be removed when this is called. So we can just like do that here, maybe change that in the cut store here. So in this update, we can also just do here on this. Okay, maybe we could just also first check as it is decrementing. We could first also check the quantity. So we could just say if, so down here we could just also check if the item dot quantity, okay, is equal to 0. So at this point you could just call the remove from cut. So I think I can just say can I call get here, and I say dot remove from cut. I don't know if I can just like do this, and I pass in the ID, and then I guess, and I do this. Okay, let's try this out. Go back, add one item, and let's go back here and let's add. So it is increasing as usual and reducing, but when it's on 0, reduce, and you see item removed. So nice. This was like a really nice implementation here. I love this. This was nice. You can see like the gate is a really nice thing. I don't want to use state one more once again, because this state is accessed not on this level. It is accessed, I think you have to do a function within here to access the state, but we could just use the gate anytime and we get this. Okay, that's really nice. I think we're just like done. That's like the most functionalities we have. Add to cut, we can increment or decrement the cut, and by the way we could just say here equal to 1. So instead of equal to 0, it should be equal to 1. So this equal to 1. It shouldn't reach on 0. It's just like if it is 1 and you remove it, then it goes to. So if it is like you have 2, like, oh, okay, what did I do? Can I just like add this? Can you first increment? Jesus, that's so you're saying if item root quantity is equal to 1, and then we say get remove. Oh, okay, so even if you add, you could just say if item dot quantity is equal to this, and type is equal to decrement. Okay, we just add also the type, so that we don't have to click on the plus and it also goes. So here you can just now increase but then on the decrease and on 1 it takes it off. Okay, so that is a quite nice implementation over here with this. So I think at this point, let me see the time. It is already 2 hours, and I think so. In the third state or in the second, I want you guys to be the one to implement the third example, and this is going to be a challenge to you. So basically what I want is I've designed this login. So if you just come here, before we move, we need to implement this. If I refresh this goes, we have to implement the persist. So how, according to show how we saw this, okay, we need to abstract this gate. So I'm just going to go here to where it reaches here. I think it is here, like this. Okay, so here we pass in the persist. So can I pass in this persist from Zustand middleware? And this one takes in 2 things. It takes in the set. Okay, if yes I could do this, takes in the set, and also it takes in the whatever you want to pass in here. I'm just going to say name. You're just going to say it is going to be called card storage, just like a unique key. And in here I'm just going to paste in all this we did, and this is where things get out of hand now. Wait, and just going to cut this. What I also saw last time is that they did another thing and pass it in here. Yeah, so you pass it in as a function. So after this, okay, you do this and then you pass in. So you can see the technique is you pass in the persist takes in the set and also takes in the keyword. So it is good you first do everything and you can do this at last. So now by passing in this only, we have our card being persisted. This is unbelievable. Okay, so if I just add 2 items like right now we have, I should refresh and I remain with 2 items. Dude, this is so good. I just love this. Okay, just like passing just like only 1 line of code, just this keyword here, and you have your data persisted. I can't believe this. No way. Like, this is really one of the most things that I ever seen, like, that simplifies this whole thing. Okay, so now that this is it is persisting, everything is okay. What I want you to do is you to implement this the login. So how does this work? We have another page. If you just look at this page here, I have a profile page. This should be just like really easy. There is nothing logical here. Let me explain. We have the profile page here. If I just go to the profile page, if I try to access the profile, okay, you can see that it just brings you this thing here. Not logged in, you need to you need to log in to view your profile. So basically just like have to go and go back to login. Let me just put this. So if you just go to the profile, it will just first check if there is a user. So here you can see user now, use effect, get user. All those ones are just like not really much. Here if there is no user, this is the card we show a person, and if you want to click handle login, you don't need to do this. You can just like simply put where you go to the login. So inside here I can just like simply add the link component. Okay, you can just add login, and let's say here href, and I just want to say login, and you can say here as child, and if I go back this one should be just a link. Okay, so here you can see it's saying John Doe is just getting these things from the profile. So we have the user set in here right now. This one, this user, which is being called in here on the use effect. So basically, what I want is let's click on logout. So what I want is you go on the login, enter email and password. So on the login, you should be having an array. If I just check in the login, just like simply get an array of users that you're just going to implement this whole logic. So somewhere here have an array of users, and find the user. If like this is what you can imitate. Simply, let me just go inside here. Okay, so just say create an array of users. So like let's say here 10 users, then from which, so when you log in, so when you log in, then so here you're just going to use you're going to create a store Zustand. So when you log in, you just call the login. So you have here, then you call the login function from like Zustand. You just create this function login that takes in the email and password, and what it will do, it will just get an array. It should just get an array of users that you have created here, and then it finds this person with this email and password, and then after that this should return a user that was found within that array, and then should set this as the logged in user. So you can say this as a logged in user. Then after doing this, okay, after doing this, you can just go back and return a user, set this as a logged in user. So this is the user that we are going to access from the profile page. So this whole implementation, we're not going to use this. You just be getting this logged in user. Okay, so you'll be getting logged in user from the Zustand, and then display the details for this user here. That's what I want you to do as an assignment. Okay, so this shouldn't be really hard. You just try, and if you fail, still we do this. This is exactly what you're going to implement when we are doing in the Manistar course. In the React Native, we'll do the same logic, but you try to do it, and maybe you can share also in the WhatsApp group your implementation. Others can see it if they fail to do it. But basically what I just want is go create an array of users. When someone logs in, use the email and password, probably the email, and match that user in the list of users you have. Get that one user, set him as the logged in user in the local storage, and then on the profile page, that is the user you are going to be actually looking at. And then at the same time, in the header here, okay, here in the header here, you just use that as you will use this person here as that person. Okay, yeah, so you just go ahead and do that. I will just see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to give it a like, and most importantly, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next video.